Thank you for joining us on another episode of Uncut with the Lowes. We are excited today to talk about why a husband and wife team is so amazing, but also so amazingly hard. But the one thing that we implement, the one thing we focus on, and we want to share with you today is balance. What does that look like? What practices are we utilizing? And how do we find that success in marriage and in our business? Well, I think the first thing we need to talk about foremost, before we even address either one of those ideas, is the premise of communication, and I'll let Brittany have it from here.
Yeah, and I think, we are approaching our summer season right now, and our schedules get busy. It's our busy time from now until about October, right, for real estate. All realtors know this. So for us, of saying, as we're approaching this season, is how do we add balance into our daily lives, into our daily work? And a big portion of that comes with communication. We over-communicate, well, I over-communicate everything, probably more so for the both of us, but that is one of the biggest things for ourselves, just with our calendars of, having two different calendars for our work and our personal. We have a family calendar, right, where we're putting that balance of what our weeks look like, that we're putting so much towards our business, but we're also putting so much towards our marriage and so much towards, individually who we are, that we have to communicate everything. And I think that's just one of the biggest things. And as silly as it sounds, right, just to talk about communication and the importance of it, it's super vital to just our everyday.
And I think communication, like Brittany is saying, it's one of those pillars in your marriage and business that has to be nurtured. It has to be cared for. Another one I want to draw attention to is inclusion, right? Because a lot of what we do in operating a business and a marriage together, it requires us to be fully inclusive with one another. There's no part of this business that Brittany is not aware of. Regardless if I'm having conversation with my clients or Brittany's having conversations with her clients, we are in full inclusion. Great example, my client, Brittany's in the text thread with that. So just in case I'm tied up with a meeting or doing something else, Brittany's able to jump in and never drop the ball and keep meeting the client's needs as we go through that. So what does that look like in marriage? I think it's one of those things where we don't have any secrets. We just tell each other, and we're very forthcoming. We have our couch night talks where, sometimes we divulge our days and the challenges about our days. But I think what we're trying to highlight through inclusion, communication, is building that family. And how do we define work versus family time at home? And one of the biggest things that we've implemented, I think, in this last couple of years, was defining a schedule, right? We have our work hours, and then we have us hours. Now, sometimes it does get a little complicated because clients—
Or it overlaps.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap. But one of the things that we've implemented, and I think I'm going to speak for myself, but you can add if you would like. I think one of the things that was very beneficial for us was we got the phones out of the bedroom and we're not allowed to have them at the dinner table. Why? Because it focused us to be present. Number one, being at the dinner table, it's so easy to get distracted by Reels, by Instagram, by Facebook, by social, TikTok. I mean, the list can go on.
Or even just with transactions of clients needing you during, certain amount of, they just got off work and they want to talk about properties that they want to see, or sellers are, curious of, do you think my house can go for top dollar if we were to list it this day? So, I think more so than anything of just having a disciplined schedule and sticking to it. You have to discipline yourself to have a disciplined schedule.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. Our no phone at the dinner tables help, and having undisturbed dates. I think that's another thing is we work 7 days out of the week. And so knowing that we need at least a portion of a day or maybe a morning or an evening to recharge ourselves, but also recharge one another of whatever that looks like. We like to go golfing, we like to go out to eat. We like to go to brunch or to the farmer's market. So having that undisturbed time where it's just you time, that's just grows and builds your marriage, right? And then more so with the business of making sure that it doesn't, I would say I don't want to say like it's distracting our time with our business, right?
Yeah.
Because our business is 24/7, but just being disciplined with just, our schedules,
And
I would say.
I think there's a way that, and again, we're just focusing on that balance, right? Because in this business or whatever business you run, 50% of your business should be spent on lead generation. So how do I not talk about the business when we're out golfing, when we're at the farmer's market, when we're out doing brunch with each other? Well, that's not to say that we're not talking about it or advertising it, but what we are doing is being intentional with, when me and Brittany go golfing, we have a date set aside. So we go Saturday morning before we even address our clients and just get it in real quick. You know what? This time on the greens, this time out in the open air outdoors and doing us and kind of just joking, laughing, and it kind of sets the tone for what we're gonna do. But that doesn't mean if someone stops to ask us a question about real estate that we can't inquire about that.
We're there. And I think more so, and I'll just give an example because we were so terrible at this in the beginning of our business, and we were finding ourselves running around with chickens with our heads cut off, right? Is that we'd come home, we're exhausted, we put in X amount of hours and we're making dinner, and all we're talking about through the duration of making dinner and eating dinner is work, right? And sometimes I'll tell him, I'll just say, okay, let's just not talk about work. And then 2 minutes later, I'm sitting here talking about work. And we had realized that we need balance, right? Because burnout in anything is real, right? So how to avoid that is you have to have a disciplined schedule, you have to communicate, and you have to recharge yourself. And a great way, and I'm kind of gonna jump into the next thing that we wanted to cover, is it's so important to recharge yourself together, right? If you're working like us as a husband and wife team, but it's also so important to recharge yourselves individually. So then you can be better together. So a great example that I always like to share because people think it's so funny, even our family and friends, when we go on vacation, it is, regardless if it's, 4 days or a week, wherever that we might go, we kind of have this unspoken, I don't want to say expectation, but it's just we figured out this is what works for us. Yeah. In the morning we wake up, we grab breakfast or brunch together, right? And then we kind of wave each other and say, okay, goodbye, see you at dinner, because I want to go do my thing and he wants to go do his thing. And that's totally fine because we're giving ourselves our you time, right? And we're recharging ourselves so that when, we're done with that vacation or, at the dinner table, we can share about our days. And so may seem so silly, right, to some people of you're going on vacation together, but you're not even really vacationing together.
Absolutely.
But it works for us.
And I think that's what Brittany's highlighting is, have you ever been on vacation and you're more exhausted than you were before you went on vacation?
You need a vacation from the vacation.
Yeah. So what we learned is what works for us. What fuels me doesn't necessarily refuel Brittany. So we had to come to this place of what refuels Brittany is sunshine, a great drink, and a great book, and her sunglasses. What refuels me is definitely not anything in the sunshine because I want to find shade or something else to be doing. A great cigar and a peaceful moment, or a time to, go in and out of naps, or whatever the case may be. Again, it comes back to the balance, right? And not saying that we have perfected this, but what has been successful for us is some of the things that we're highlighting with you today, right? Running a successful marriage and a business, not many can do it because it equates to taking a huge sacrifice. And I know I'm gonna butcher this, but I heard this proverb said a long time ago is we have to individually tune ourselves. And if Brittany or myself are not tuning ourselves and fine-tuning ourselves, we're never gonna be in sync. And if we're not in sync, then that's gonna make us at some point become separable. And what we want is we like to be together for a lot of the stuff we do. Of course, there's moments where Brittany likes to have her alone time at the farmer's market, and that's okay. And I like to have my time. But if we specifically focus on tuning ourselves, getting in sync, then we become inseparable, then we become powerful, and then we can execute that successful marriage and business and you know what? Continue to make the sacrifices that are necessary. So balance is super key. And we want you.
Communication, balance, and be on the same wavelength.
Yeah, well, I would say communication is probably the cornerstone to anything, right? So
Yep.
whatever you're doing, just communicate, over-communicate, and keep communicating through it. So we appreciate you guys. Look, let's keep getting better. Let's keep getting, I don't know what.
You were going for like a motivational.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
all
Let's
you
just
got.
get vulnerable. How about that? Let's get vulnerable and we'll figure it out as we go. We appreciate you.